course, you've had such a long, illustrious career, and there's so many amazing songs that you've been a part of.
Mhm,
And so it was kind of tough to narrow down like what to ask you today. But
mhm.
I wanted to start off on this record here,
This
and
was the Kenny
with
Loggins
Kenny
record.
Loggins, where you
Mhm,
played on "Don't Fight It," which was the duet with Steve Perry.
mhm.
And I wanted to ask about the opening riff on that song, which is it's an interesting one because you're using harmonics, and it
Right.
almost sort of sounds like a hammer-on pull-off riff. But I was kind of like, whoa, it's actually harmonics there. So how did you come up with that?
Yeah, it's harmonics. Because what I do with most songs, every time I go in the studio, what I do is I chicka the tempo, whatever, just to sort of get that inside the drummer's head to know everybody where this is where we're going. Even if we're using a click, metronome in our ears, I just click it out with the chicka thing, and then I figured, let's charge this up, and I just started playing harmonics, doo 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 doo, yeah, and it just the engineer producer was it Bruce Spotnick? Yeah, Bruce Spotnick, I think. Yeah. I didn't know he would use the chicken beginning or any of that, but he did. So that was cool that he did that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And of course, you're obviously no stranger to working with powerhouse vocalists, but
yeah.
that must have been a thrill to be able to be doing a song with both Kenny Loggins and Steve Perry. What was that like?
Well, first of all, I didn't even know Steve was doing it. I had
Okay.
no idea. I actually, Kenny told me about doing a song like that, but it was another one that he had on there. I can't remember the name now. Imagination, maybe that's what it was called. Um, that one I played on. I like that a lot.
It
Um,
must be imagination.
Must be imagination. Yeah, I like that. That was more like, Loggins and Messina-ish to me. So, excuse me, I liked that one, and I didn't really know I was gonna do like a more of like a standard kind of rock song, and I had no idea Steve was doing the duet. I had no
Right.
idea until the record came out, and I go, "Oh, they never told me that."
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's
And
cool.
it was also interesting in the liner notes because you got like a direct shout out from Kenny in the liner notes on that song, which was pretty cool. And a bit of an aside, but I've one thing I've noticed like looking through these records is that your name was spelled differently back then, the
Yeah.
last name. What was the reason for that?
Was 'cause, when I joined Rick Derringer in 1978, 77, I had it was spelled with an E, and it was a mistake, so I just kept it. I just
Right.
kept it being there. It was on, Guitars and Women record, Guitars and Women, yeah, it was called, by Rick, and I decided, well, just keep it for a while, and then it's a long story because my name is actually Ciraldo with a C, Ciraldo, and it's a long story. So
Right.
I just kept it around for a while, then I got rid
Yeah.
of it, so
Yeah. And then, another record that I think, I certainly was surprised when I found out that you played on this record, but of
mhm,
course, with Rick
yeah,
Springfield here.
sure.
And yeah, I was wondering how you ended up on that record.
Yeah, because I was working with Keith Olsen on, our Crimes of Passion record, and then eventually Precious Time. But I was the beginning of my career, even with, Patricia, even with Rick, I my ears always went to production. I mean, 'cause, as a songwriter, arranger, it kind of fell into that area, and using instruments as tools, right, to create the song that you're trying to achieve, right, trying to the outcome of the song. So hanging around with Keith, and we got along really, really well. And he goes, I got this guy, Rick Springfield, and he's got a couple songs, and why don't we do it together? And eventually it was sort of a co-production thing with Keith and Rick as well. So he just played me Jesse's Girl, and I says, "Well, that's a hit." And we both agreed it was, and even Rick talks about it now, when his demo was very, very like stiffer, right? And his middle eight wasn't really established yet, and he had parts in there he needed to clean out, sort of shape it a little more. So, and Rick's a super great guy, nice guy. We're really good friends with him and his wife and his family. Been for 50 years or something, like
Mhm.
forever, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's it. Just came about, and then we had a drummer, and then I just played the bass and all the guitars on it, and Rick played a little keyboard thing, I think, in a bridge, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and
It
then
So, yeah, like, it's funny because Jesse's Girl is still, like, such a phenomenon to this day, and you knew that it was gonna be a hit then.
Yeah, I did, even in that condition that Rick had it, it was a you could tell. You just kinda knew it, and like I did with most songs, if they need a solo, which I'm more interested in the vocal and arrangements like that, but solos could work if they're melodic, in my opinion. I don't know, and I even when I write, I don't write from a guitar riff. I write on piano or acoustic guitar to get the melody and words. So, but I would just pick a whatever 16 measures. Put 16 measures and we'll do a solo, or pick eight or 32. I just pick a number. I had no idea what I was going to do. Just pick a number. So
Yeah.